Alright guys, just want to make a quick tips and tricks video for some Dragonheir for you new players out there. So to get started, you guys are going to make your character. A lot of the stuff when you create your character really doesn't matter too much. So you get to your attributes. So first when this game started, in the community most people didn't really worry too much about attributes because it seemed like none of it mattered too much. But as you get in, a few little tricks that I've learned with it is your strength here is going to be good for when you're making armor. Your intelligence is going to be good for cooking, and dexterity for thieving. Just kind of show that real quick for your strength. Come in here to our camp, go over our smithing table, and then watch we do some forging. Just going to forge a piece of equipment. We're going to do a strength check. Now a strength check is going to affect whether or not we get some of our turns right here for your iron ore. So personally I like that, so that's why I'm invested in strength. If you're into the cooking portion of this game over here, you're going to start making your stuff for all your bonuses, which is also really good. Start getting your recipes. You're going to want to work on intelligence. It's going to affect that part of it. You see right there, you got an intelligence roll for that. Everything else in character creation, really don't worry too much. You really can't mess up. Once you start getting going in the game, highly recommend you join an alliance because you're going to get some easy rewards out of it. We did our temporal vortex. So my client hit 15 mil, we get that. We hit 40 mil. You're going to get all three of these. It's good to just get it in any clan just so you get it going. Start getting some tokens so you can start going to the little alliance shop over here, start buying things. So far, I recommend do your weekly essence. It's pretty important. And your starlight dice, so you can start getting some people. Now, another few things I wanted to show, some little tips and tricks for your character combat. Some of the stuff you've probably heard before. Content creators are always talking about this stuff. But come over to our dungeons. We've got two different maps over here. You get up to our dungeons here. You're going to see this is where we go, our little domains to get stuff to unlock for our characters, to level up our characters. My biggest tip when you start out, try to create 2 teams, but first focus on one. Focus on a fire radiant team, or focus on yourself like an ice poison team. Get one team rolling, that way you can start getting through, pushing a little bit of content. Once you get that team kind of built up, start getting at least to your level 70s, then start focusing on your next group of teams. And try to stick with just 2 teams. The reason being, out of these 3 domains, you can say build your fire team, and you can hit up the Tempest domain. You can go do your ice domain, and then you can build up your ice team, and you can go do fire domain. So 2 teams, knock out all 3 dungeons. You don't need 3 teams. And when you come in here to do your combat, go to number 4 over here, where we're at right now. Biggest thing is like knowing some different formations. So this is one that I'm using right now. Got my tank in the front, my adventurer in the middle. Is one of my damage dealers, another damage dealer, and I do 2 support units. I like this little setup right here. It works pretty good, especially for this dungeon. When you go into other places, you start losing, just play around with it. There's in the story mode, there's one where there's a couple of these guys that will jump in the back and attack your support units. And then what I started doing was I just kind of move my support units around like this. So when he started jumping, he would start just jumping at my tank. My tank's gonna end up usually about right here by the time he jumps. So then he ends up hitting him instead of going back to the support units. But there's just random stuff you can do playing around with these formations when you're losing a battle. And sometimes just messing with your formation is going to fix what you got going wrong. I also want to go to some arena stuff. And a lot of people on here keep saying, oh, just go to the arena, just keep refreshing until there's a lower level team. Sometimes there's not going to be a lower level team. And one thing I like to look for is when people don't spread out as much. So every now and then you're going to get these groups kind of like this. You got 3 people in the front and only 2 in the back. I like this because then when I go fight them, I got my AoE damage dealers, and they're just gonna bombard these fronts. So we'll do a quick battle. We'll see how it works out. They're on 90, so it might not be in my favor. But this is why I like the groups. So when we start hitting, we're gonna be knocking these guys out first. And you can take out that front line pretty quick. These back two are pretty easy. So you're doing arena, watch the formations when you're picking your battle. That's one of the really the biggest thing I think for arena right now, because no one has good gear. No one's got fully leveled characters, so it's all about formations, right? I mean, it's that easy. So you take out the tank, take out your front row damage dealers, and these bad guys, sometimes they might take a little bit longer to fall, but they're going to fall, because usually you're going to have like your healer or something back there. And a lot of people right now put their adventurer back there. The adventurer is really not too much to worry about. It's a good character. It's good for switching back and forth to fill up roles. It's not the best character in the game, you know. I'd say for the adventurer, I'd put him in line with like a S tier epic, basically. He's not quite as good as the legendaries, but he's gonna be good as your epics. So, anyways, when you come over here to arena, like I said, just kind of venture through. You can look for lower levels, but for the most part, you're gonna start finding people that are just always your level. You're gonna have to just try to deal with it, and the easiest way to deal with it is to find formations that match up to you. If you want enemies that are grouped up too, another thing you can look at is like, do they have a lot of melee units that are going to run forward and then group up for you? That's just another kind of way to try to figure out if you can get people grouped up. I mean, right here, like I got a group of 3. We got the adventurer over here. This is something I would like to fight. And then what I'm going to do is I want my damage dealer hitting this one over here, so we could try to knock it out. I'm sorry, it's not adventurer, it's another character, but we're going to knock him out. And then once we get him knocked out, this guy is a little harder to knock out, but get him knocked out, and our AoEs are going to be smashing the group. So we're going to be able to do pretty good with the AoEs. So your AoEs are always going to go to whoever's grouped up the most. So that's why I pick my AoE damage dealers too. That's why I pick fighting groups, because it makes it a little easier for me. This guy might actually beat me. He's probably got a little bit better stuff going on there, but it's just kind of an example of what to look for, you know. And this tank over here, man, he's a free tank. Definitely level him up. He's a beast. As you can see, neither of our tanks have fallen. And that's one of the things, you get your tanks fighting like that, and it's just all about those back lines. You got this guy. He's also a champ, man. He just heals up your team every time he attacks. Doesn't help your team, he's gonna heal up your lowest HP person, so he helps your survivability a lot. Alright, so there's just a few things that I wanted to show you. The main takeaway, guys, would be his attributes. Not there, side quote. Be your attributes. When you're making your character, you start leveling up. Start thinking a little bit more about these. Like I said, at first, we all kind of thought it doesn't really have anything to do with much of the game. But now you're seeing you got a little bit of your smithing in here, cooking in here, thieving in here. And of course, there's a few checks for everything else. But when you make your stuff, think about that stuff. I'm real big into the forging stuff, so I want to keep my strength up. At first, I didn't do anything in intelligence, but now that I see that my cooking is affected by it, I started adding into it. So I want to get at least a +3 bonus on there coming up. So pay attention to that, guys. And then I'm just gonna do some quick pulls before we get out of here. I appreciate y'all's time watching this. Hopefully, it helped a few people out. Real quick, a little strategy I got going on too is the Helio dice. I'm not pulling for any legendaries. I'm not doing those at all. My gold dice, I'm just going to keep saving them throughout the season. When the new season starts, I'm going to pick out a summoning event, pull them all out. Especially if you're going to be free to play. It's a good little strategy so that you can take advantage of one of the summoning events, you know. And I have a feeling whenever global launches, we'll probably get a better summoning event than what we got now. I don't know if we will for sure, but I'm going to save up for it and we'll see what happens. Of course, my luck not getting too much as far as epics, but that's alright. And then the one epic I pull is going to be the one I already got. That's my luck, guys. Alright, well, it's been fun. Hopefully this helps someone out. Y'all have a good one.